You chose her though,
Oh
so
yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
experience made you more resilient. Her opposition made your certainty grow. How did it function?
I grew up in a restaurant family, so I started work at a very young age. Many hours a week, drinking coffee at 6 years old.
Hmm.
So having to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning on the weekends when I wasn't in school, or going to the different restaurant functions, 30, 40, 50, 60 hours a week at times, and still have to do high school or junior high. So a different life, again, a very, very different life. And I've done a tremendous amount of healing on it with my own family. I love them very much. They can't listen to my work. I've been doing this for many, many, many years. My mom has listened to less than one or two shows. Same with my other brothers. They simply can't. They know me and they know what I was like growing up with me, and they just couldn't conceive of what it is that I was doing. I mean, in their own rights, they did it exactly the part that they were supposed to do, to teach me very valuable lessons as a child when I grew into an understanding of the responsibility of what I had. And that was the specific skill to read the Akashic record of not just this world, but 20,000 other worlds. I'm simultaneously linked into all forms of information and can simultaneously translate it.
This is beautiful. Let's go back, Andrew, to your
Sure.
first sexual attraction. How did it work in your body? Because you were so tuned.
Physical or non-television?
Non-television, when you felt a trance of that kind of attraction, perhaps didn't even touch it in Italy, but your person to whom you would say yes as a compliment.
Probably I was 14, right around 13, 14, let me think. I'll actually look at the Akashic record of myself. 14, just turned 14, and it was a girl in school, and I remember having an intense connection to her, but me not wanting to be an empath and read her mind, because I had very strict rules with myself of not reading the minds of others, because sometimes you get into some very dirty sections, and there are things that you don't want to see.
Yes.
Okay, so it would be between reading and homeroom class, first period, an intense heart bond. Like, oh my God, I've known this person forever, and like there was these intense sexual experiences from other lifetimes that were flowing through.
And it was extraordinary. It was scary. It was. How did
I
you?
was a very private child, so no one understood what was going on in my world. No one knew. So, yeah, I held it in, and that's part of the programming that I grew up with. You don't tell anyone what's going on.
Yeah, you better.
Yeah. So I kept it all inside. And then there were a number of other experiences with other people, because, when you're working in the restaurant industry and you're taking the money, you're making their food, you're connected to them as they leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have this thing called 1 degree of separation. That's everybody you've ever met in your life, including the people you've walked by on the street or passed in a car. All of those are 1 degree of separation. And if you look at the world, everybody has a 1 degree of separation. Like, your 1 degree of separation is big because you do interviews, you do books. Same with mine. There will be less than 200 of us can complete a unity consciousness grid around the world. And as a child growing up, I was looking for that in every piece of food that I sent out, or every money that I exchanged for the food. I looked at that person and tracked them all the way back in their DNA lineage to determine how far I could reach and change this world.